Every morning, you wake up with a new chance, that before the noise begins, that before the world pulls at you. This moment is yours. Start by sitting still. Breathe, do not rush. Remind yourself of this simple truth. You do not control everything today, but you do control your thoughts, your actions, and your attitude. Some people you meet will be difficult. Some events will not go your way. This is normal. Do not be surprised by it. You cannot control the world, but you can control how you think about it. This is the first lesson to remember every morning. Many people wake up already feeling defeated because they believe the day will decide how they feel. They wait for events, people, or luck to shape their mood. This gives away power too easily. Your mind should not be ruled by things outside of you. When you understand this, clarity begins. Thoughts appear quickly and often without warning. Some are useful, others are harmful. Not every thought deserves your attention. Just because a thought enters your mind does not mean it is true or helpful. You have the ability to pause, observe it, and decide whether to accept it or let it go. This small pause creates freedom. Without it, the mind reacts like a leaf blown by the wind. The world is unpredictable. Plans fail. People disappoint. Problems arise without asking permission. If your peace depends on everything going smoothly, you will rarely feel calm. Clear thinking begins when you stop demanding that reality follow your wishes. Instead of asking why things happen, ask how you will respond. This shift moves your focus from complaint to action. Emotions often feel powerful and urgent. Anger tells you to react. Fear tells you to escape. Desire tells you to chase. These feelings are natural, but they should not lead. Thoughts must come first. When you let emotions take control, judgment becomes clouded. When reason guides your thinking, emotions settle on their own. You do not fight emotions directly. You guide the thoughts that feed them. Each morning is a training ground. The mind, like the body, needs practice. If you do not train it, it grows weak and distracted. Training does not mean forcing positive thoughts or denying difficulty. It means choosing honest and useful thoughts. Saying, "This is hard but manageable," is stronger than saying, "This is unbearable." One thought builds strength, the other drains it out. Many people suffer more in imagination than in reality. They replay the past and fear the future, exhausting themselves with things that are not happening now. Clear thinking requires staying in the present moment. Right now, you can think clearly. Right now, you can choose your response. The present is the only place where control exists. Blaming the world for inner unrest is easy, but it solves nothing. When you say, "They made me angry," you hand over responsibility. Anger comes from how you judge a situation, not the situation itself. Change the judgment, and the feeling changes. This does not mean ignoring injustice or harm. It means responding with intention instead of impulse. Your thoughts shape your actions, and your actions shape your life. A chaotic mind leads to careless choices. A calm mind leads to steady effort. You may not choose the challenges you face today, but you choose the mindset you bring to them. This choice happens again and again, in small moments that often go unnoticed. Clear thinking does not remove struggle. It gives direction within it. When your thoughts are ordered, you waste less energy fighting reality. You move forward without panic, without resentment, without unnecessary fear. This is not weakness, it is strength that comes from discipline. To control your thoughts is not to control every idea that enters your mind. It is to decide which ones you allow to stay. Over time, the mind learns from this practice. It becomes quieter, sharper, and more resilient. The world remains uncertain, but your inner ground becomes firm. Each day will bring challenges. This should not shock you. Expecting life to be easy creates frustration before the day even begins. When difficulties appear, many people react with anger or confusion, asking why this is happening to them. This reaction comes from false expectation. If you expect resistance, you are prepared. If you expect comfort, you are weakened. People will test your patience. Some will speak carelessly. Others will act out of selfishness or ignorance. This is part of human nature. When you understand this, their behavior loses power over you. You stop taking things personally. You see actions for what they are, not as attacks, but as reflections of their own inner state. Obstacles are not interruptions to life. They are part of life itself. Every task worth doing comes with effort. Every path forward includes discomfort. When you expect ease, resistance feels like injustice. When you expect difficulty, resistance feels normal. This shift changes how you move through the day. Surprise is often the source of emotional pain. Not the event itself, but the belief that it should not have happened. When something goes wrong, the mind protests. This protest adds suffering. Accepting in advance that problems will arise removes the shock. You remain steady instead of reactive. This does not mean becoming negative or hopeless. It means being realistic. There is strength in seeing the world clearly, without illusions. Optimism that ignores reality collapses under pressure. Calm acceptance endures. You can still work toward improvement without demanding perfect conditions. When you wake each morning, remind yourself that you will face delays, mistakes, and resistance. Remind yourself that plans may change. This mental preparation acts like armor. The problems still exist, but they do not pierce you as deeply. You respond with reason instead of frustration. The world does not owe you cooperation. It follows its own order. Weather changes, systems fail, people act according to their understanding, not yours. When you stop expecting fairness in every moment, you stop feeling cheated. You focus on what you can do next. Most anger comes from unmet expectations. You expect others to think like you, behave like you, care as deeply as you. This expectation is unrealistic. Each person carries their own fears, habits, and limits. Understanding this creates patience. Patience creates clarity. Preparation is not worry. Worry imagines endless outcomes without action. Preparation accepts reality and adjusts behavior. You do not fear difficulty, you acknowledge it. This mindset keeps the mind balanced. You are neither surprised nor defeated. When a challenge arrives, you can say to yourself, "This is what I expected." This simple thought prevents emotional escalation. You stay focused on the task rather than the discomfort. Energy is preserved instead of wasted on complaint. A smooth life does not build strength. Resistance does. Just as muscles grow through strain, the mind grows through challenge. Expecting difficulty allows you to use it as training rather than seeing it as punishment. The person who expects nothing to go wrong is constantly upset. The person who expects challenges remains calm. Calmness is not passive. It allows clear action. When emotions are stable, decisions improve. Expect difficulty, but do not exaggerate it. Most challenges are smaller than they appear. The mind magnifies them when caught off guard. When prepared, the mind sees them accurately. Accuracy is the foundation of wisdom. By expecting difficulties, you remove their power to surprise you. You meet the day grounded, alert, and ready. The world unfolds as it always has, unpredictable yet manageable. When faced with understanding and steady reason, there is a clear line between what you can control and what you cannot. Most confusion in life comes from ignoring this line. People spend their energy trying to manage outcomes, other people, and events that are outside their reach. This effort leads to frustration and exhaustion. Clear thinking begins when attention is placed only on what belongs to you. What is in your control is simple: your thoughts, your choices, your actions, how you speak, how you work, how you respond. These things are always available to you. Even in the most difficult situations, this control remains. Everything else exists beyond your command, no matter how much you wish it were different. Many people confuse influence with control. You may influence others, but you cannot command their reactions. You may prepare carefully, but you cannot guarantee results. When you mistake influence for control, you take responsibility for things that are not yours. This creates unnecessary pressure. The mind becomes restless when it chases outcomes. It asks, what if this fails? What if they disagree? What if it does not work? These questions pull attention away from the present task. When focus returns to action instead of outcome, the mind steadies. You do what you can and release the rest. Letting go is not giving up. It is choosing not to fight reality. You still act with care and effort, but without attachment to the result. This balance keeps the mind clear. You become effective without becoming anxious. Every moment offers a choice. You can focus on what you cannot change or on what you can do next. The first leads to tension. The second leads to progress. Even small actions done well create a sense of order. Complaining is often a sign of misplaced focus. It points attention toward what cannot be controlled. Instead of complaining, ask what response is possible. This question shifts the mind from frustration to usefulness. Other people's opinions are not yours to manage. Praise and criticism rise and fall beyond your reach. If your peace depends on approval, you surrender control. When you act according to reason and values, outside judgment loses its weight. Circumstances change without warning. Health, fortune, and status are unstable. Building your identity on them makes you fragile. Building it on character makes you steady. Character is formed through choices you control every day. The present moment is where control lives. The past cannot be altered. The future is not yet formed. Regret and worry pull the mind away from its only place of power. Returning attention to now restores clarity. When things go wrong, resist the urge to blame. Blame looks outward and weakens responsibility. Responsibility looks inward and strengthens action. This shift does not deny difficulty. It directs effort where it matters. Training the mind to focus on what is in your power takes repetition. Old habits pull attention toward fear and desire. Each time you redirect your focus, you build discipline. Over time, this discipline becomes natural. Life becomes simpler when you stop demanding control where none exists. Energy once wasted on resistance is now available for purpose. You move through challenges with less noise and more direction. By focusing only on what is in your power, the mind becomes calm, grounded, and effective. External events continue to change, but your inner stability remains. Supported by attention placed exactly where it belongs, the need for approval is a quiet force that shapes many decisions. It often hides behind polite behavior and ambition, but it can control the mind if left unchecked. When you depend on praise, your peace is placed in the hands of others. Their opinions rise and fall, and so does your sense of worth. People seek approval because they want certainty. Praise feels like proof that they are doing well. Criticism feels like a threat to identity. But neither praise nor blame defines the value of your actions. They are reactions, not measures of truth. When you understand this, their power weakens. No two people see the world the same way. Each person judges through their own beliefs, fears, and experiences. Expecting consistent approval is unrealistic. Even the most careful action will be disliked by someone. If you chase universal acceptance, you chase an illusion. Approval is outside your control. You can act with honesty and effort, and still be misunderstood. When approval becomes the goal, behavior shifts. You begin to adjust your actions to please, rather than to act rightly. This leads to inner conflict, because you sense the compromise even if others do not. Freedom begins when actions are guided by values instead of applause. Values remain steady. Opinions change daily. When you align with what you believe is right, you gain inner consistency. This consistency creates confidence that does not depend on external validation. Praise can be just as dangerous as criticism. Praise feeds ego and creates attachment. You may begin to repeat actions not because they are right, but because they are admired. When praise fades, motivation weakens. A mind trained to need approval becomes fragile. Criticism often feels personal, but it rarely is. Most criticism reveals more about the speaker than the target. Some criticize to feel superior. Others project their own dissatisfaction. Taking every opinion to heart burdens the mind with unnecessary weight. Letting go of approval does not mean ignoring feedback. Useful feedback improves action. The difference lies in intention. You listen to learn, not to be validated. You correct mistakes without attacking your worth. When you stop seeking approval, you act more honestly. Words become simpler. Choices become clearer. You no longer perform for an audience. You work quietly and steadily, focused on the task itself. Fear of judgment limits growth. Many avoid effort because failure might be seen. This fear keeps potential unused. When approval is released, effort becomes easier. You accept mistakes as part of learning, not as evidence of failure. Social recognition is unstable. Today, praise can become tomorrow's criticism. Building your self-respect on such ground creates constant anxiety. Inner respect, built through right action, does not depend on changing opinions. True confidence is quiet. It does not announce itself or seek confirmation. It comes from knowing you acted with integrity. This knowledge is private and sufficient. When decisions are guided by approval, the mind becomes divided. One part knows what is right, another seeks acceptance. This division drains energy. Unity returns when approval is removed from the equation. Letting go of approval allows you to stand alone without feeling lonely. You remain connected to others, but not dependent on their judgment. This balance brings calm and strength. By releasing the need for approval, you reclaim ownership of your actions and your peace. You act from reason, not fear, and the mind becomes steady, clear, and free from the constant noise of external judgment. Emotions arise quickly and often without warning. They respond to impressions before the mind has time to judge them. This is natural. What matters is not the feeling itself, but what follows it. When emotion leads, action becomes impulsive. When reason leads, emotion settles into balance. Acting according to reason means pausing before responding. It means examining a situation instead of reacting to it. Anger pushes toward conflict. Fear pushes toward avoidance. Desire pushes toward excess. Reason asks what is appropriate, necessary, and within control. Many mistakes are not caused by bad intentions, but by unchecked emotion. Words spoken in anger cannot be taken back. Decisions made in fear limit possibility. Reason creates space between impulse and action. In that space, clarity lives. Emotions are not enemies. They are signals. They show how the mind interprets events. But signals are not commands. A warning light does not drive the vehicle. Reason decides the direction. The mind becomes unstable when emotions dictate behavior. One moment you feel confident, the next discouraged. This instability drains energy and focus. Acting by reason creates consistency. Even when emotions change, actions remain aligned with values. Training the mind to lead with reason requires awareness. The first step is noticing emotion as it appears. Instead of becoming it, observe it. Say, I feel anger, not I am angry. This distance weakens its grip. Reason does not demand the absence of emotion. It demands understanding. Why am I feeling this way? What belief is causing this reaction? Is this belief accurate or exaggerated? Questioning thoughts restores balance. Strong emotion often exaggerates events. A small mistake feels like failure. A delay feels like disrespect. Reason brings proportion. It measures events accurately instead of magnifying them. Acting with reason does not mean becoming cold or detached. It means responding with intention. Compassion guided by reason is more effective than compassion driven by impulse. Firmness guided by reason is calmer than firmness driven by anger. Many people regret emotional reactions more than difficult events. The event passes. The reaction leaves a mark. Reason protects you from self-inflicted harm. Daily life offers countless chances to practice. A rude comment, a sudden problem, a disagreement. Each moment tests whether emotion or reason will lead. Practice strengthens the ability to choose. When reason guides action, trust in yourself grows. You know you will not act against your values under pressure. This trust creates inner stability. Emotional reactions seek immediate relief. Reason seeks long-term good. One offers comfort now, pain later. The other offers effort now, peace later. Social situations often trigger emotion. The desire to defend pride, the fear of embarrassment. Reason reminds you that dignity does not depend on winning every exchange. Silence can be stronger than argument. Fatigue and stress weaken reason. Caring for the body supports the mind. Rest, moderation, and routine strengthen the ability to think clearly when emotion rises. Over time, acting by reason reshapes emotion itself. The mind learns not to overreact. Emotional intensity softens. Calm becomes familiar. Reason is not loud. It does not rush. It speaks quietly and steadily. Learning to listen to it requires patience. By choosing reason over emotion, actions become deliberate, measured, and aligned with character. The mind gains clarity, relationships improve, and life is guided by thoughtful intention rather than passing feelings. Much of human suffering comes from resisting what cannot be changed. The mind argues with reality, wishing events had unfolded differently. This struggle adds pain to situations that already require endurance. Acceptance is not weakness. It is clarity. There are events that lie beyond choice: loss, delay, illness, weather, the past. No amount of anger or denial alters them. When the mind refuses to accept this, it becomes trapped in frustration. Energy is spent fighting facts instead of responding wisely. Acceptance begins with seeing reality as it is, not as it should be. This does not mean approval. It means recognition. You acknowledge what has happened without adding judgment. Judgment turns facts into personal injury. Many believe acceptance leads to passivity. In truth, resistance creates paralysis. When the mind stops arguing with reality, it becomes free to act where action is possible. Acceptance clears the path for effort. The past is a common source of resistance. Regret replays moments endlessly, imagining different outcomes. These thoughts cannot change history, they only consume the present. Learning replaces regret when attention shifts to what can be done now. Unwanted change often brings fear. Fear grows when the mind imagines worst outcomes. Acceptance grounds the mind in what is actually happening. You deal with facts instead of imagined disasters. People often resist others being different. They expect behavior, values, or attitudes to match their own. This expectation creates constant conflict. Accepting differences does not mean agreement. It means understanding that control ends at the boundary of another person. Life moves according to causes beyond individual desire. Seasons change. Bodies age. Circumstances shift. Fighting these truths wastes strength. Aligning with them preserves it. Acceptance reduces emotional extremes. When the mind stops demanding certainty and control, anxiety softens. Calm returns. This calm allows reason to function. Pain becomes heavier when paired with resistance. Physical discomfort becomes mental suffering when labeled unfair or unbearable. Removing these judgments reduces suffering even when pain remains. Acceptance requires humility. It acknowledges limits. This humility is not self-diminishing. It is accurate self-understanding. Knowing where control ends protects inner peace. Unexpected events test acceptance. Plans collapse, efforts fail. The initial reaction may be frustration. Acceptance follows when the mind says, "This is the situation now. From here, what is possible?" Gratitude often grows from acceptance. When resistance fades, appreciation for what remains becomes visible. The mind notices what is still intact, rather than what is lost. Acceptance does not erase emotion. Sadness may remain. Disappointment may linger. But these emotions move freely instead of being trapped by denial. Movement prevents stagnation. The habit of acceptance strengthens with practice. Small annoyances offer training. Traffic noise, delay. Each moment is a chance to release resistance and conserve energy. Accepting reality does not mean abandoning values. You still seek improvement. You still act. Acceptance simply removes the inner battle. By accepting what cannot be changed, the mind stops wasting strength on futile struggle. Attention returns to effort, character, and response. Life becomes lighter, not because circumstances improve, but because resistance fades.